giving you a certain amount of dynamics, how big the category is overall. So here's some numbers. When you look at travel retail, that includes duty-free airports, airlines, cruise lines, and they have an other section, which is port stores and border stores. It is a $9 billion category. 2016, 30 million cases. Now, when you think about the general market on a global basis, it's peanuts, it's small. The global business for travel retail is $9 billion. The global business for wines and spirits overall is $765 billion, 1.1% of it being travel retail. Does it make sense then to consider it? Yes, that's the answer, and I'll tell you why in a few moments. One thing that you do have to look at is what are the trends in travel retail? What's driving travel retail as a whole? One of the things you have to look at is what's happening in the general market tends to replicate in travel retail. What's driving retail, what's driving on-premise tends to take place also in travel retail. This is important as you think about the brands that you want to present to the travel retail industry. Are the trends moving in the right direction for your brands? So that's the first question you have to answer. Premiumization. Premiumization is strong in the US market. It's been going on for a long period of time. Also within travel retail. It has the same effect. The CAGR, the 5-year CAGR through compounded annual growth rate through 2016, value was up 4.8%, volume was up 2%. So those premium items that you're bringing to the marketplace extremely well within travel retail. Also spirits. Spirits are a key driver. It's a driving force more so than the general market. 73% of the volume, global volume for travel retail is spirits, 92% of the value. And that really is being driven by airports, duty-free airports, which you'll see in a few moments. But I think it's important to note, this is on a global level, but when you start taking down to the region and different segments and different categories, every region, every segment has their own idiosyncrasies. So that's important to understand. As an example, in Europe dominates with about 53% of the total business. The driver is spirits. Spirits are growing 5.6% versus wine 1.1%. But then you flip it back to the Americas. Americas are basically Canada all the way down to Argentina and Chile. Americas, 19% share, less than 6 million cases. But wine is the key driver for growth, up 3.5% on wine versus 2.6% on spirits. Hold on. This is another key slide. When you look at where is the business, for spirits, top 20 spirit brands represent about 90% of the total business. Big challenge unless you're Absolut, Johnny Walker, Jack Daniels. So a real challenge from a spirit side getting into this channel. But take a look at wines. 54% are below the top 20. So I do think when you start looking at the opportunity and where you need to focus, I know we've got some wine distributors and importers here, but also some spirit importers and distributors. I think wine has a better opportunity. Why? Because wine, as we all know, is not brand driven, it's not brand loyal, it's being driven by adventure, experiential, and looking at new regions and new categories. So let's take a look at the categories. On spirit side, half the business is Scotch whiskey. This is again travel retail. Scotch whiskey and vodka, over 50% of the total volume. On the wine side, obviously still wine. So no new news there, but you have to look at where the trends are. On spirits, it's all about whiskey, just like here in the United States. So when you look at Japanese whiskey, up 50% on a compounded annual growth rate. Irish whiskey, up 10%. Canadian whiskey up 8%. And then you have gin, which is up 5%. On the wine side, it's about providing wines that deliver on the style and the quality the customer is looking for. For example, cruise lines and airlines that cater to Americans, they're looking for that forward fruit style of wine overall. If you look at the growth of sparkling, champagne is up 4%, other sparkling is up 11%, over double the rate of growth overall. So we're talking about cavas, we're talking about cremants, we're talking about proseccos. What's driving the business at retail on-premise and the general market is also driving consumption in travel retail. Okay? Oh, that was good. So from a segment standpoint, where is the business? Airports. It's all about spirits driving airports. 51% of the total business overall. But here in America, airports, 42% of the total business. So when you take, it's about 5.8 million cases. When you take airports out of it, cruise lines and airports represent less than 2 million cases. So you have to ask the question, does it make sense for you to actually focus on the airlines and the cruise lines? Is there a better and a bigger fish to fry in the general market? And I would say, I would agree with you, number one, you want to continue to focus in the general market, but there is an opportunity in travel retail.